Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. This episode is going to be another preview for one of the Week 1 matchups. This episode being the Sunday night matchup, big time game between the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Really looking forward to this matchup. Going to be a good one, I'm sure. So we'll hop right in and start by covering both teams' strengths. The matchup on the offensive side for the Cowboys, defensive side for the Giants. Now Ezekiel Elliott is playing, so that makes a huge difference. This team, whilst Darren McFadden's a perfectly competent backup, as is Alfred Morris, neither of them offers what Ezekiel Elliott does out of the backfield, or just as a dynamic a runner as he is. So I think that really does benefit the Cowboys, of course. The difficulty is they are playing against what may be the toughest run defence in the league, or at least in terms of the defensive line, with Jason Pierre-Paul, who played the run fantastically well last year. Early in his career, not so much, but the last couple of seasons he's become a real force on the edge against both run and pass, and Olivier Vernon, who's always been a very good player in both facets of the game, and Damon Harrison, arguably the top nose tackle in the league. It's probably between him and Brandon Williams at this point, but they're both but he's a stellar run defender also. How many lanes there's going to be, I don't know. You've got this stellar front as well for the Cowboys. Couple of changes there, of course, with Lyle Collins moving to right tackle now, and then the left guard spot looks like it's going to be Jonathan Cooper, who's just been very poor since he was drafted very highly by the Cardinals, bounced around the league a little and just never really found a home. But they do have the free studs there, so in terms of what I'm expecting to see from the Cowboys, not too much different from last year. Bit more. I expect to see a bit more in the passing game in terms of attacking the intermediate levels of the field. Still don't think this is going to be a team that goes deep too often. It will just be a case of maybe when Dez is one-on-one, they'll go for it against teams. If they're going to attack deep, it will likely be off play action, which will of course depend on how effective Ezekiel Elliott's being, or how much attention's being paid to him. For me, what the Cowboys need to do is establish the run enough that Landon Collins has to be brought up into the box. If the Cowboys can stop the run with 7, or just off the pressure off that front, they do a good enough job of clogging running lanes, then I think the Cowboys' passing game is going to really struggle against one of the top secondaries in the league. They're very deep at corner. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie had a great season last year. Eli Apple should be even better in his second year, and Janoris Jenkins was one of the best corners in the league last year. I think Jenkins matches up well with Des Bryant. Bryant's one of the best receivers in the league, but Jenkins isn't going to let him have it all his own way. And other than that, I think when you look at Terrence Williams and Cole Beasley, again, I would have to give the edge to the Giants corners in this matchup, especially if you've got Landon Collins as good as he was last year, buzzing around over the top. I don't like the Cowboys' chances too much. Jason Witten isn't the player he was. He can definitely make some plays on these linebackers, but it's not like he's going to be making the sort of plays that cripple a defense. He's going to move the chains a couple of times, maybe come up with some key conversions, but he's not going to be dishing out 120-yard games on the regular. So that's going to be the key. They have to be productive enough that Landon Collins has to come down in the box, get some of those one-on-one matchups on the outside, and then Dak just has to be very smart with where he places the ball and with what risks that he takes, because there's playmakers all over that secondary. Really, this matchup will come down to the line play, both in pass protection and in the run game. So I'm expecting them to look to the outside. I think they're going to have to try and get the linebackers spread. I think they're going to have to just hope they can seal the edge on these guys. I don't just running up the middle against the Giants is a recipe for disaster. I think Dalvin Tomlinson will see a lot of snaps in this game, because I think he's got the ability to just clog up run lanes. Him and Harrison, I think, can do a dynamite job up the middle, as good as Frederick and like Zach Martin are. And of course they're going to run it up the interior, but I think you're going to see a lot of zonal type stuff, looking to stretch the field and bounce Zeke to the outside, or just on the outside of the tackle, or just between the tackle and the guard. So that's going to be key. If they can have success doing that, Collins has to come down. They can have some success in the passing game. Otherwise, I can see Dak just having to dink and dunk his way down the field, and I don't think that's going to be too successful for them. So I expect them to look outside in. If they can do that, they can get the play action going. They get Landon Collins in the box. That's how I think the Cowboys have to approach this game to get a win. If you're the Giants, I just think you line up in man-to-man coverage pretty much down the field. Dare these receivers to beat you. Dare Dak Prescott to take chances, and I think you can maybe bring an extra guy. But if you can get enough pressure with just the 4, I think you try and put a lot of pressure on Lyle Collins by mixing up the ends so that he has to deal with both of them and the different threats that they offer. Pierre-Paul, I think, is a better speed rusher than Vernon. Vernon's got a bit more power to his game. I think that's the key to attack them. They're going to have to be stout up front. I think they're going to have to bring the run blitz in timely manners. First down, in theory, is where you want to be doing it, but I think the Cowboys might be a little bit savvy onto that. Don't be surprised to see Landon Collins potentially sort of just following Ezekiel Elliott around, because I think the X factor with Ezekiel Elliott is his ability in the screen game and in the short passing game. I think that's where Landon Collins is going to have to key in on Ezekiel Elliott, because I'm not sure any of the backers are going to have the talent to do so. So I expect that to be a focus. Again, I think Jenkins is going to be one-on-one with Dez. Dez is going to get his chances if that's the case. Whether he can take them, we will see. Dez is as talented as they come, but so is Jenkins. That's a matchup that's going to be absolutely key, and I can't wait to see that one unfold on Sunday. Moving over to the other side of the ball, this is where we're looking at sort of the uglier side of this game. The Cowboys' defence is just really tough to call. Like, you know how they're going to line up. The Rob Marinelli defence is what it is. We know what it looks like. We know how it operates. But is the talent there? I mean, they weren't a very talented group last year, and he managed to maximise it. They look even less so this year. Jalen Smith's the potential X factor there. Sean Lee. But other than that, the corner position looks a mess. The defensive line looks a mess. It looks difficult. Now, for me, the key here is whether Odell Beckham is going to be healthy and able to play. If he is, then I simply think the Giants have too many weapons for this patchwork, brand new secondary to deal with. I mean, you've heard Brandon Marshall struggle to pick it up. I still think he'll have enough to offer a threat. Sterling Shepard's there, Evan Ingram's there. I don't think that the Cowboys have the ability to cover these Giants' weapons at all. This also is an issue, I think, for the Cowboys, because I don't think they've got enough pass rush to capitalise on the Giants' big issue, and that is that terrible offensive line. Eric Flowers has really struggled so far in his career. Justin Pugh's like the one guy there I can look at and think, yeah, he's a solid player. Other than that, they look iffy on the interior. Starting John Jerry is not something you want to be doing, especially in pass protection. I don't know what they're gonna look to do on the right hand side. Eli, I think you're gonna see a lot of short stuff to Shepard, to Beckham if he's playing, a lot of slants, a lot of run after the catch type stuff. I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on these linebackers over the middle of the field to be quite active. Sean Lee, this is his specialty, but with Ingram there, I think that offers another threat that they're going to have to account for. I don't know what to expect from Paul Perkins. Expect to see the Giants try and run the ball a fair bit in this game. I think they're going to want to try and, with the Cowboys, they're going to try and slow the game down, have long, extended drives. I think the Giants have to try and match that somewhat. We're going to, when you're playing against a cover 2 type team, power running's the way to go, and they do have some big bodies on that line. So it's certainly possible they can get a bit of that going. It's the real unknown quantity in this game, how this offensive line and defensive line are going to go. On the opposite, other side, we're looking at a premier matchup here. Not so much. We're looking at kind of what's being thrown at a ball and seeing what sticks. So, not sure how they'll approach it. Maybe, I think, a lot of draw plays. You could see, You could see him trying to stretch stuff to the outside, have the backs flaring out whilst the receivers are coming across the middle, really try and put a lot of pressure on this cover 2 scheme. Simple fact of the matter is, if Odell Beckham's there, I don't think there's too much of a matchup here. I think Manning will play a short, quick passing game. I think he'll be able to manipulate where the defence is. It's not a complicated scheme. If they can't get pressure, I think he'll be able to pick it apart with those talented receivers. And you could see a monstrous game from Beckham and possibly Evan Ingram. I think he's a real X factor in this game, even as a rookie. If they just need enough of a pass game, a run game, to keep the Cowboys honest. Now, if you're the Cowboys in this game, I mean, you just got to try and do what you did last year. You've got to play your cover. You've got to keep things in front of you. They're going to just have to tackle well and hope for mistakes and hope that front four can get it going. They can't afford to blitz. The weapons on the outside are too talented. This front four is going to be the key to this game. Fortunately for them, it is a soft offensive line. They're going to have to find a way to get it done. I don't know who's going to be lining up there, frankly. Taco Charlton, is potentially going to have a big opportunity for him to burst out on a national stage. I think if he can, DJ Fluker, guys like that, Flowers, they're not great pass protectors. He could potentially have a big impact, and I think he's going to have to, along with the rest of that frontage. I think you're going to see all kinds of stunts and craziness from Marinelli, but you're going to see, other than that, it's just going to be 7 guys dropping back behind those 4. If they can tackle well, if they can force Eli to make a couple of bad plays, then perhaps they can do enough, much like they did last year, just be opportunistic and difficult in the red zone. Then they might have enough to get it done. My final prediction, though, for this game would be, if Odell Beckham plays, I favour the Giants. As I say, too many weapons for what I think is a defence that's going to take a little bit of time to come together, and as much respect and love I've got for Marinelli, it's just too much, I think, in week 1. However, if he's not playing, I've got to give the edge to the Cowboys. With Ezekiel Elliott there, I think this offence will get enough done, and they'll eat up some clock. I think Eli, without Odell Beckham there, and a rookie, a new Brandon Marshall, a poor O-line, I think he makes a couple of errors, tries to force the ball a couple of times, and the Cowboys are going to be ruthless with those mistakes, because that offense, they're going, as good a defense as the Giants have, they're going to have a couple of drives in this game. And I just think about Beckham, the Giants just do not look explosive enough to me, or dangerous enough to really keep up with what I'm expecting from the Cowboys. So, bit of a shootout, I think, if Odell plays. I'm looking at sort of a 30-23 victory. If not, I think the Cowboys win it pretty comfortably. I think they take an early lead while Eli tries to figure things out without Odell, and they end up with something along the lines of a 20-10 victory. And if the Giants can't afford to be playing catch up in this game, in my opinion. So there you have it. Probably going to have a couple more previews up on Monday for the 2 Monday night games. Apologies, I was hoping to be able to get every game done. Turns out that's not going to be feasible. It is a little bit too time consuming to work and try and get all this stuff done. But hopefully you've enjoyed this one. As always, let me know, what do you guys think? Give us a shout, whether it's in the comment section below, the Cover Zero Facebook page. Find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. Always happy to talk football. If you enjoyed this, check out some of the other episode game previews. We've got the Titans Raiders game, which I'm looking forward to. Seahawks Packers. Got the review up already for last night's season opener. What a game that was. Really enjoyed that. Always fun to see the Patriots lose. You've had it good for a while, guys. Don't get too butthurt at our enjoyment at you guys losing, particularly at home. It very rarely happens. And so yeah, if you can check those out, that'd be great. If you can like, share, subscribe as well, that'd be wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. It's been a pleasure as always. Have a good evening, and go Bucks.